On this Sunday night, a daring and dramatic rescue at the Syrian border. How Canada helped coordinate an international mission. Who are the Syrian civilians known as the White Helmets, and why did a rescue need to happen now? Also tonight, 2 provinces feeling the heat. Dozens of fires are burning out of control. A number of Canadian communities on high alert. This is The National. Tonight, the world is learning more about a dramatic rescue from Syria and Canada's crucial role in this international effort to save lives. Civil defense volunteers known as the White Helmets were in deadly jeopardy. Government forces were closing in on them and their families in the country's southwest corner. Last night, 422 people crossed into Israel with help from Israeli forces. They were loaded onto waiting buses and taken to refuge in Jordan, but many others weren't able to make that crossing, and tonight their fate is up in the air. The CBC's Murray Brewster was first to report on Canada's part in making it all happen, and he begins our coverage.
It unfolded under the cover of darkness and an extraordinary cloak of international secrecy. The Israeli military shepherding hundreds of Syrian first responders and their families through the border and on to neighboring Jordan. A multinational mission to rescue the rescuers. The White Helmets forced to flee the onslaught of forces loyal to Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. Throughout Syria's brutal civil war, the White Helmets have clawed through the ruins for survivors of airstrikes and shellings. They've borne witness to atrocities, and for that they say they have been marked for death by the regime. Sources tell CBC News a Canadian diplomat in the region red-flagged their imminent danger, and it went all of the way to the top of the political chain as NATO leaders met earlier this month. Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland made an impassioned plea to her counterparts, saying Western countries had a moral obligation to act. As the summit in Helsinki held the world's attention, rescue plans were coming together. But some White Helmets were torn between leaving and staying.
I think a lot of White Helmets will stay till the end. They really have sacrificed too much. Know that it is them and them only who will be there to rescue the civilians that are invariably going to be trapped, unsafe, and at the hands of a very cruel regime as it moves forward and taking territory back.
At last count, 422 White Helmet volunteers and their families made it out. 2 other groups did not. Roughly 800 are still trapped and moving within Syria. Their fate remains unknown.
Murray, it's great to get that backstory on how the rescue came about. What else did Canada do to seal the deal?
Well, Canada has promised to take in 50 of the White Helmet volunteers and their families. Now, that could amount to about 250 people. However, as we've noted in our report, there are fewer White Helmets that got out than expected, so that Canadian number could very well drop. One of the things that Canada has promised Jordan is that the White Helmets will not remain in Jordan for very long, and that they will be processed quickly and brought to Canada and to Germany and to the United Kingdom. Now, Canadian officials have said that they're going to be setting up security screening, similar to what they did for the 40,000 Syrian refugees that came through the system and were resettled in Canada.
But let me quickly ask you about that, because you talk about how this processing is going to happen quickly. There's already been a backlash on social media, for example, some of it fairly ugly about, some are saying a security risk posed by the White Helmets coming to Canada. How effective will these security checks be?
Well, the security checks that went through last time were very stringent, and the federal government insists they're going to be just as stringent this time. Much of the accusations directed against the White Helmets are the product of a Russian disinformation campaign. They are labeled as terrorists by both the Assad regime and the Russian government for publicizing all of the atrocities that have taken place in Syria.
All right, Murray, thank you.
You're welcome.
Today, Foreign Affairs Minister Freeland thanked Israel, Jordan, the U.S., and other countries as she tweeted out a tribute to Syria's civil defenders. The White Helmets are courageous volunteers and first responders who risk their lives to help their fellow Syrians, said Freeland. That volunteer aspect is part of what makes them seem heroic. They are everyday citizens who rose to the occasion as the escalating civil war laid waste to their communities. They claim to have saved 115,000 civilians, many pulled from rubble. And they've lost at least 260 of their own volunteers. Sometimes they were killed as a second airstrike happened as they were doing their rescue work. But as Murray mentioned, the White Helmets made powerful enemies by thwarting the al-Assad regime. Susan Ormiston takes a deeper look at how the rescuers became targets.
So many times just like this. Not just first responders, the only ones. White Helmets, volunteers rescuing thousands of civilians in the torturous Syrian war. Last week, as Syrian forces backed by Russia ran over rebel-held areas in the southwest, the White Helmets were trapped. With no chance of safe passage out, here's why.
Assad said publicly that these White Helmets are his worst enemies, and he said publicly that they are spies of the West. So it was very critical, and the White Helmets told governments in Canada and Germany and Britain, they said, look, if you don't help us now, we gonna die here. Assad will kill us.
The Syrian regime accuses White Helmets of faking rescues, of making up chemical attacks. Syria and Russia label them foreign agents funded by Western governments.
On the human rights situation in Syria.
Parliamentary visits like this one to Ottawa feed into their narrative. Last year, when a short documentary on the White Helmets won an Oscar, the Russian embassy in London shot back, tweeting, indeed, they are actors serving an agenda. And when they were nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize in 2016...
Well, what did they achieve in Syria?
They have made some mistakes, say those who've helped train them. Just volunteers, thousands of them who've struggled to stay neutral in the midst of such horror and record what they've seen.
The reason these allegations exist is that because the White Helmets have done an incredible job documenting the crimes, particularly of the Syrian regime and Russia. And therefore, these two countries have put all what they've got in terms of propaganda and their propaganda machine to try and defame and discredit the White Helmets.
Last week, as the war crept closer to Israel's border with Syria, Prime Minister Netanyahu was asked to help the White Helmets out. Today, he said the lives of the people who saved others are in danger. But his opponents accused him of trying to deflect criticism away from the escalating campaign against Gaza. They were called the bravest of brave tonight by the UK's Foreign Secretary, and Britain will take in some as well. But as they leave, many more are left inside, vulnerable. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, London.
Here's what else we're working on tonight on The National. A former Trump advisor took to the airwaves today, vehemently denying FBI documents that allege he operated as a Russian agent. Toronto police facing pressure to deal with an increase in gun violence this summer, so they're putting more officers on the streets. CBC took a ride with officers to see what that means to some residents on the front lines. But first, an anxious night in some communities in Ontario and British Columbia under threat from forest fires. In BC's southern interior, dozens of fires are burning and firefighters are bracing for another week of potentially dangerous weather. Renee Filipponi is in the Okanagan, where hundreds of properties remain on evacuation alert.
The smoke coming off the Mount Aeneas fire started as a puff this morning, but grew throughout the day. And that's exactly what the crews wanted to happen. In fact, they set it ablaze.
A piece of unburned fuel between two fires. And the objective was to remove that fuel in a controlled circumstance at our timing.
For now, things are improving. The concern going forward is the hot weather on the way. The hope is the wind won't come with it.
When this burn's completed, if everything goes as planned, we'll be in a much better position.
That's where you had the big 80-foot flames.
And you could feel the heat here.
Yes, you could, yeah.
The Fitzpatrick family vineyard was shut down for 3 days because of how close the flames got. It reopened today. Gordon Fitzpatrick says when the fire started, everything seemed fine and then the wind changed.
But then it shifted and moved to the south, and that's when Mount Aeneas, which is right here, that's when that became a towering inferno. And I would say at one point, we were looking at flames they must have been 80 feet high.
A wedding booked here had to be moved. Fitzpatrick says in the end, the community really came together.
The vineyards are unscathed, and so despite what was some harrowing moments, we're back open for business at Fitzwine.
Nearly every year, communities in the Okanagan are put on alert. Peachland is bustling today, but it's taken a hit over the past few days. The mayor says tourists stay away, and she thinks more could be done to get ahead of the fires.
Once this is all said and done and the debriefing has taken place and there's a report on it, perhaps we could look at the higher levels of government and say, we need more resources, we need more money put into the helicopters or the planes, the water bombers, and the personnel.
At this point, most of the evacuation orders have been downgraded to evacuation alerts. But the message for people living near the fires, keep your bags packed because that could change. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Peachland.
And this is the situation tonight in BC. More than 100 fires burning across the province. Across the country, a volatile situation is also unfolding in Ontario. There are more than 60 active fires. The largest is near French River Provincial Park. Philip Lee Shannock is there.
Near the park's entrance, many vacationers who were ordered to leave gathered for the trek south. A massive wildfire burning for days has forced hundreds to evacuate this popular Ontario resort area. A steady stream of cars head south, following an evacuation order as fires grew bigger. It now covers 50 square kilometers, and as many as 30 fires are burning out of control. Even locals have never seen anything like it.
We weren't even sure if we'd have a job to come to today. After last night with all that smoke and that, because we didn't know how close it was to our homes or to work or whatever. It's scary.
Thursday night, we could see a glow all over the trees. We were all scared. We were always thinking that we may have to evacuate or whatever, because Hartley Bay was evacuated last night. They even closed our workplace early yesterday. It's pretty scary. It's scary. We've never seen this,
Firefighters have arrived from other provinces, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, PEI, and Newfoundland. Also, crews have come from Minnesota and Wisconsin, and as far away as Mexico. That help will be needed. According to the province, this has been an extreme year.
We surpassed the 10-year average due to a high number of lightning fires.
The mandatory evacuation order remains in place, and the Ontario Provincial Police have set up roadblocks to stop anyone from going into the evacuation zone. The weather has turned over the weekend, with rain and cooler temperatures helping a little. And winds have shifted, blowing smoke from the fires away from cities and towns and over Georgian Bay. And much depends on the weather. Storms are forecast over the next few days, but that's a mixed blessing. Along with rain, there could be high winds and more lightning strikes. And that's what caused some of these fires in the first place. Philip Lee Shannock, CBC News, French River, Ontario.
Yet another ex-Trump staffer is feeling the heat tonight. Former campaign insider Carter Page is again denying any Russian connection in the face of new evidence made public this weekend. The CBC's Paul Hunter has that story.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Rare are the moments like last week when reasons for Americans to wonder what's up with Donald Trump and Russia are on such specific display. In fact, for all the allegations, questions, and denials on whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia to undermine the 2016 U.S. election, it can be sometimes hard keeping up with who's said to have done what and when in the weeks and months before and after election night. Which brings us to Carter Page.
No, I've never been an agent of the foreign power by any stretch of the imagination.
Emphatic today that no, he's not a spy and never was. Once briefly an advisor to the Trump campaign with prior ties to Russia, but he did not, he says, help the Russians get Trump elected.
This is so ridiculous, it's just beyond words.
But in U.S. federal court documents made public last night, it's clear the FBI believed and had evidence that Page was, as the documents put it, an agent of a foreign power and was the subject of targeted recruitment by the Russian government. The documents are formerly top-secret applications by the FBI seeking judicial permission to wiretap Page. They first came to light months ago when Republicans and Democrats fought over whether they signaled the FBI was abusing its power. Tweeted Trump today, now that parts of the documents are public, witch hunt, rigged, scam. But the documents show the wiretap was approved by Republican judges 4 times, before and after Trump won the White House. Much of the more than 400 pages are redacted, and Page has not been charged with any crime. Today emphasizing he may have had conversations with Russia at different times, but
I'm very careful in terms of, making sure that there's a clear record. There was nothing in terms of any nefarious behavior.
Okay. Meanwhile, the Russia investigation moves ever forward. But to the questions, when will it all wrap up? How are all the dots connected? What exactly is it that's going on here to date, Ian? There are answers to none of it.
And in your story, Paul, you mentioned the Helsinki summit. Any word yet on what Trump and Putin talked about in that private one-on-one?
Short answer, nope. Word from both Democrats and Republicans today is that here we are almost a week later, and no, whatever was talked about between those two remains between those two, raising questions from Democrats today, again, about what is behind all the weirdness with Trump. Lawmakers and commentators alike are more and more suggesting aloud that the only explanation anyone can now imagine is that Putin really does have something on Trump. It's what many have long wondered but dismissed, but are now putting it out there. It's like, for all the trees these past many months, people are now finally seeing the forest because they have no other explanation for his behavior. There's still no proof, but it's all they got. And Trump is doing nothing to dissuade anyone. Ian.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Here are some of the other developing stories that we're tracking tonight. An explosion near the Kabul International Airport killed 14 people today, narrowly missing Afghanistan's controversial first vice president. The former Uzbek warlord was returning home after living in exile in Turkey for more than a year. A local affiliate of ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack that wounded more than 50 others. About 200 people attended a memorial service today in Branson for the 17 people killed last week when a duck boat sank in a Missouri lake. 9 of the dead were from the same family. The church bell chimed 17 times in honor of each of the victims. Their boat sank Thursday during a sudden storm. Reports say none of them were wearing life jackets when found.
He needs a good one. Well, he has hit it.
Tiger Woods had one of his strongest showings in years at a major, his best since 2013. He even held the lead briefly during the final round of the British Open today before fading. Woods finished tied for 6th place at 5 under par, 3 strokes behind the Italian Francesco Molinari. It is the first time a golfer from Italy has ever won a major golf tournament. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have traded former NFL player Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, part of a 5-player swap with the Montreal Alouettes. He never actually took to the field during a regular season game with Hamilton. He is trying to rehabilitate his career after being cut by the Cleveland Browns in 2016. Still to come on The National, we'll take you on a ride with the Toronto Police Service as they work to address mounting gun violence in the city. And you'll hear from a Newfoundland runner who keeps beating running records in her 80s. And in an effort to get people out of their cars, find out what London, England is doing to diversify the cycling demographic in the city.
But we have got to make sure it's not just those white men in lycra of a certain age cycling, and that gives the wrong image as well. With cycle superheroes as well, it's all about fast powering rather than pottering along on your bicycle with a basket at the front, the sort of more traditional view you might have.
So what kinds of stuff did you find here on the beach today?
I found like garbage bags, like
a bunch of plastic
wrappers,
water bottles, tissue paper.
So today we have students from local schools. Right now on the beach is Ron Colley, he's grade 5, and it's World Oceans Day here at Middle Cove Beach. So the grade 5s are really wonderful to work with because they love to get in and do the activities, but they also make the connection between the activity and the ocean and the science of it. So on the beach here today, we have the Ocean Science Center. The dive team are down here getting live creatures and sort of bringing them up in front of the kids to see. And we have a team from DFO also here doing activity on marine debris because oceans plastics is sort of the theme of this World Oceans Day.
How does it make you feel when you find garbage on a beautiful beach like this?
Sad because, like, knowing that it affects fish because they swallow the plastic.
It's important because if we don't do this, a lot of the garbage, fish could eat it and then it could get caught in the organs and they can't eat, they can't breathe.
Surprised you just how much plastic you found in a place like this?
Yeah. It looks really clean, but then when you look around, you find a bunch of like trash around and then you're like, wow.
What have you guys been teaching the kids about the oceans in classroom before you got to this day?
Lots of discussions about awareness of the marine life and respect for them and the importance of keeping our oceans clean and caring for them like we do every other part of our world. It's amazing actually, right from when they start school, even sooner, they're aware of how important that is. So there are future generations, so teach them now, put it into practice, and that's what we're here to do today.
Does it make you think differently about the kinds of things that you buy and shop for in your everyday life?
Yeah, you could like buy reusable stuff. Like reusable bags, reusable water bottles, like all that.
And less plastic stuff. I don't think that takeout places should use styrofoam because you really don't need it when you could just be using other stuff to put it in.
When you eat like takeout and stuff, you don't have to have the like plastic stuff on top. We should make more reusable things and people should buy water bottles instead of the plastic ones. They should buy like metal ones or the reusable plastic ones.
And they could do more things like this to teach kids like how they can do ways to like prevent that. Because really it's for our fault and it's affecting us a lot.
A series of deadly shootings in Toronto this year has many people on edge, demanding authorities do something to reduce the violence. But there is a lot of disagreement about what that something should be. The city has pledged to add night patrols in some of the riskiest neighborhoods. The CBC's Marie-Michelle Lauzon went out with police last night to see how residents are reacting.
It's almost 7 p.m. at Toronto's 23 Division. Officers are getting ready for their Saturday night shift in Rexdale, an area in the city's northwest that's known for gang violence. For the next 2 months, 200 additional officers will be on the streets, part of a new gun violence reduction plan designed to address the recent spike in shootings. First stop tonight, this park, where 5 years ago, 44 people were arrested and money, drugs and weapons were seized. Tonight, the police have another mission.
Our purpose here is to engage with the community in a positive way, develop relationships so they feel comfortable speaking to us when something is happening in their community.
The police presence is welcomed by these residents who say they live in fear of the violence in their community.
Some guns there, some drugs there, and is there, but the communities don't like it.
Are you afraid?
Of course, if you have there, it's afraid. Everybody's scared. The police, the people is helpful in the community, and now it's very polite.
Their second stop, a few blocks away. This residential area might seem calm tonight, but a number of shootings have happened here.
This is one of our high priority neighborhoods. That's why we're out here trying to speak to residents, get to know our residents, make them feel safe, try to assist them in whatever way we possibly can.
The final stop of the night, a family party in the backyard. The owner, Ultris Otley, is more than happy to see police officers. A few months ago, her neighbor, a 22-year-old man, was shot dead in front of her house.
It's sad to know we had to live in so much fear that if we hear firecrackers, oh my God, everybody fly inside because we think it's a gunshot. It's sad to know your children can't walk free because we live in fear so much. Well, now they change the lights so we feel a little more secure, and now and then we'll see the police coming around. But we want the police more in the community.
This night is just one snapshot, but it shows some residents here appreciate the increased police presence and shift in focus. Mary-Michelle Lauzon for CBC News, Toronto.
Next on the National, Calgary may be known as Canada's oil and gas hub. It turns out it has one of the longest cycling path networks in North America as well, but does that mean more people are getting on their bikes? Plus, Mexican fishermen call it the devil fish. It's also known as the sucker mouth catfish. Neither one sounds very appetizing, but two California entrepreneurs are trying to give the fish a rebrand.
This idea of trash fish, I'm not fond of that name. Nobody wants to eat a trash fish. We need to be more open to trying new things if we want to support a healthy food system.
Well, Peter, this was day 24 of Chief Theresa Spence's hunger strike here on Victoria Island. And for a few moments, there was a sense of optimism that maybe a solution was near. But as fast as it came, that hope vanished.
That snow ending in the afternoon tomorrow, then a chance of flurries. Right now it's minus 24. Feels like minus 28 with the wind.
Cold in just about every way. It is ritual that passes the time on Victoria Island these weeks of Chief Theresa Spence's hunger strike. There is both the wood and the resolve, it seems, to keep up the battle. The morning walk with a friend, the chief turning her back on Parliament just across the river. She's sure it turned its back on her long ago. A few flashes of energy for supporters around her, and curiously a brief dash for the door and a hotel. She's sworn off solid foods, but she's far from allowing herself to be trapped on the island. Just gonna go have a shower and a little lie down?
A shower and spend time with a few minutes with my girls.
That is the last Chief Spence was willing to say publicly today. In her absence, the crowds poured in. More well-wishers, more of the familiar supporters, bringing more supplies and more good thoughts. She returned in time to thank them and then retreat back to her tent for more meetings. All support is appreciated here, but what is clearly craved is someone or something that carries a promise of change. For a few hours, change seemed possible. Word of urgent invitations sent from the Assembly of First Nations to the Prime Minister and the Governor-General to meet with First Nations leaders on January 24th, the one-year anniversary of the last summit. If the Prime Minister said yes, would that be enough for Chief Spence to stop her protest? Chief Sean Atleo rushed to a meeting with her, and the crowds thickened. The idea of stopping sounding good to supporters who've become worried.
Fasting, political fasting, is not good.
If the crowds had hope for the meeting, many in the know said they did not. For more than an hour and a half, not a word, then Chief Atleo, leaving in a hurry, saying little.
You'll have to excuse me here. We're going to have to jump in.
Chief Spence's representatives far from appearing thrilled. The letter that was sent from the AFN today, inviting the Prime Minister to a meeting with the chiefs, is that sufficient for Chief Spence if he says yes to that?
That is not sufficient. That is 3 weeks away. But what she's saying is we want to meet. There's an urgency to this. Lives are on the line. So let's meet in the very near future.
So this goes on. It is effectively back to day one, with all here just waiting for an answer of some kind from the Prime Minister. You do get the impression, though, that behind the scenes, Chief Sean Atleo is pushing hard for a compromise. It's just not working yet. Peter?
It's super cool. It's friggin' super cool.
It's okay to date the crazy guys?
A surge in the number of cyclist deaths in Toronto has brought bike safety front of mind for many people across Canada. While cities ponder the best way to expand cycling routes safely, the tension between riders and drivers continues to be an issue. The CBC's Aaron Collins brings us this look from Calgary.
On a sunny summer day, Calgary's new cycle track is rolling, cutting right through downtown. It's part of the largest urban pathway and bikeway network in North America. Well, Tom Babin knows this track well, a new path that the author and local bike blogger says has thousands more people cycling in the heart of Canada's oil and gas capital.
You get what you build for. So if you make it safe for cyclists, people will ride their bikes. If all you do is build for cars, people are only going to take their cars.
The key to the track's success, making cycling safer in the inner city.
The vast majority of people want to ride a bike more often, especially for transportation, but they don't feel safe. Right. And so the intention of on-street separated bike infrastructure is to make it safe. Not only make it safe, but also offer the perception of safety.
That seems to be working. Bike collisions are down in the 3 years since the cycle track went in. Still, not everyone is a fan. For some, all those bikes have been bad for business. George Condon's menswear store is right along the new cycle track. He says the track replaced parking spots and cost him business.
Since the program has been in now, which is exactly 3 years, I would probably say it's had an effect of about 25% of my sales.
One of Condon's biggest complaints, the paths and his store are pretty much empty in the winter.
I think the city of Calgary is definitely more of a driving vehicle city.
Back on his bike, Tom Babin says that could be changing.
The number of cyclists in winter, yeah, it's smaller, but it's also growing proportionately. So as the total number of people on bikes grows, the number of people riding in winter grows.
A big shift, but an important one, according to Babin. He says that as more cyclists use bike paths, collisions for bikes and cars go down, making Canada's roads safer for everyone. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Across the Atlantic, London has seen a 154% rise in riders since the year 2000, but there's concern that interest has peaked. So officials are trying to bring more diversity into the mix by getting more women to cycle. Here's the CBC's Margaret Evans.
Sometimes they look like they're floating through traffic, carried along by the current, serene. Other times, it's more like they're swimming with sharks, ducking and diving their way through a world where the humble cyclist can get swallowed up by traffic or crowds or both in the blink of an eye. Cycling in London can be hard graft. Those who dare are part of a select club, accounting for just 2% of journeys made, and most of them by men. Enter the mammal, the nickname earned by middle-aged men in Lycra who seem to be channeling the Tour de France.
Yeah, they're annoying. They're really annoying. They're just aggressive to everyone. I try to ignore them.
Susan Lund has been cycling to work for 4 years.
It is aggressive. I'm not an aggressive cyclist, but I think a lot of women feel that it is quite confrontational.
Mammals have even been singled out by city planners as a bit of a problem as London tries to reimagine itself as a cycling city of the future. Carolyn Pidgeon heads the Transport Committee for the London Assembly.
We have got to make sure it's not just those white men in Lycra of a certain age cycling, and that gives the wrong image as well. With cycle superhighways as well, it's all about fast powering rather than pottering along on your bicycle with a basket at the front, the sort of more traditional view you might have.
Last year, just 27% of London's cycling journeys were made by women and only 15% by ethnic minorities. City planners say there must be more diversity in the cycling lanes if the trend of people swapping cars for bikes is to grow.
Brilliant. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's a really exciting day today.
Trainers from Cycle Confident getting a class ready to go out on the road to cycle over to Hyde Park.
So we're always cycling with our fingers over both of our brakes, using our gears. Let's go.
The Bike Skills Company works for a number of different boroughs across London.
So we're going to turn round here.
Offering cycling courses for all levels.
London is under pressure to reduce the carbon footprint and congestion and create more sustainable city environments.
Marketing Director Brian Beausoleil admits he himself fits the mammal mold, but he says courses like these are about helping all kinds of cyclists feel just as comfortable on the road.
They want to see people who would not normally ride on a road to get on the road to do their errand or take the children to school or to shop or to commute.
Dina, you're at the back because you're the strongest. You're not at the back because you're in the dog box.
Most who sign up are women. Maria cycled as a girl back in Portugal and wanted to brush up. She's now been coming for years. Candy is a beginner who wants to commute to work.
I wish, there are ways and means sometimes of getting to places just on a bike. Sometimes it's impossible or scary.
The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has pledged to double the number of cyclists on the roads within a decade. At pro-cycling rallies like this one, he's preaching to the converted, and the city has made great strides over the past decade. There are now 6 cycle superhighways designed to carry bike commuters into the center of London and across it quickly, and 5 more potentially in the works. But not everyone is on board, especially taxi drivers like Neil Johnson.
Cycle lanes have been a massive, massive disaster for most of London.
Johnson insists the routes are underutilized and creating gridlock. He calls the diversity argument a red herring.
They realise they're not as popular as everyone makes out. So they're now trying to find excuses for the reason why no one's using them.
But more than 1 million cyclists have used the 2 flagship cycling highways since February, and for many, that's a success. As for diversity, cycling advocacy groups say there's really only one sure way to get more people on their bikes, and that's to make the roads safer. Fran Graham works for the London Cycling Campaign.
There's a lot of stuff that can be done, a lot of programs that do work to get more diverse people into cycling. But if you train someone and then they go out and they don't have anywhere safe to cycle, they're not going to continue to cycle.
In other words, if you build it, they will come. Just ask Candy back at her cycling class.
I want to cycle on my own. I will get there. You watch this race. I'm going to do it. I've got a bicycle now.
Let's go.
A few more road warriors ready to go, albeit maybe a little kinder and gentler. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Now here's a preview of a story you can watch here on The National this week. Nick Purdon meets Saskatoon's most unlikely pot merchant.
I went into shock, like, straight up. I just was completely, I just really thought I was dreaming. Like, I actually pinched my arm, like, really hard, because I'm like, there's no way.
You might react like that, too, if you got one of the licenses to sell recreational pot in your hometown. I mean, 1,500 people applied for licenses across Saskatchewan. And Sierra Sieben Chubak was one of only 7 who met the criteria to set up shop in Saskatoon this fall. So at 23, Sierra is a trailblazer.
Telling people that are asking me, what am I going to do with my life when I'm done school? And I say, I think I'm going to open up a marijuana dispensary. Like, a lot of people just sort of looked down on me for even saying that and just sort of rolled their eyes, because to them, they're like, this girl literally has no chance. Like, you go for it, kid, but there's no way.
This is the way it was supposed to be. It's comical now, looking back at the Rube Goldberg device that was to be the roof of the Olympic Stadium. But back in the early 1970s, people thought, why not? The entire project was a futuristic dream, a building that would still be in vogue when there was a helicopter in every driveway. Ice and snow? Trifles. Hadn't they just landed a man on the moon? The whole thing was the brainchild of Montreal's mayor, Jean Drapeau, the national hero who brought us Expo 67. Who could doubt his visionary brilliance? Now, Drapeau is widely portrayed here as a megalomaniac who led Montreal over a cliff. But he is also ferociously defended. Hotline show host Gilles Proulx.
I think Drapeau was
ahead of his time at the head of a, I would say a farmer's city. What he wanted is to give an heritage to Montreal, to say in 1,000 years that stadium will be there, just like the pyramids in Egypt or the Eiffel Tower. And you're going to be glad to say in 1976, a mayor decided to go against everybody to give you that heritage, and it's one of the most beautiful stadiums in the world.
To design his stadium, Drapeau didn't want just any architect. He chose Roger Taillibert of Paris, whose previous stadiums were not just buildings. They were, according to Drapeau, poems in concrete. When they started building it, though, the extremely complicated design, combined with an orgy of greed from Quebec's unions and business leaders, drove the cost into the stratosphere. The budget went from $150 million to $800 million by the time the 1976 Olympic Games were held. And even at that, the stadium was unfinished, no tower and no roof. In the 1980s, they decided to go ahead with the tower, but it burst into flames even before it was completed. In 1986, a piece of the tower fell into the playing field during an Expos game. The team said they would have to play more heads-up baseball from then on. In 1987, they sewed up a heap of orange Kevlar and strung it up over the stadium. By this time, the cost had risen to $900 million, but Roger Taillibert dropped in to tell Montrealers that money was not an important consideration.
It's not my problem. My problem is a concept.
But it turned out that the concept was also a problem. A hydraulic failure while moving the roof caused a terrible rip in the Kevlar fabric, the first of many. Later, it seemed to rip whenever a thunderstorm happened by. The rain leaked in, the money poured out.
Ça bouge.
In 1997, the PQ government announced a final solution.
We had so many problems with it that I think the time for experimentation is finished.
A brand new roof, this one made of Teflon.
Morning, David.
Ew, what are you all doing here? Love is definitely in the air. Oh God, your face.
I know my face. It's a heat rash or something. I look like the Phantom of the Opera.
Stop touching your face.
You stop touching your face.
Surprise, I brought lunch. What are you doing?
Nothing.
Here are some of the stories we're following this week on The National. The Assembly of First Nations will be holding their annual general meeting in Vancouver, and on Wednesday they'll be voting for a national chief. 5 candidates are in the running, including the incumbent, Perry Bellegarde. The AFN is facing a flurry of legislative activity from Ottawa, including a bill to recognize Indigenous rights.
You worried at all about going to jail?
Cameras not rolling.
U.S. politics will intensify on Wednesday when the trial of Paul Manafort begins. President Trump's former campaign manager faces charges of money laundering and tax fraud. He's the first defendant from the Mueller probe to go to trial. The charges stem from Manafort's work as an advisor to the Russian-backed government in Ukraine. But prosecutors allege it continued through the Trump campaign. A U.S. federal judge expects to see the last of scenes like this by Thursday. That is the deadline he imposed on the Trump administration to reunite all migrant families separated at the border. It's not clear how many reunions have taken place, but it's been estimated 2,500 children are eligible. The separations and detention of children were met with a storm of criticism, and the president was forced to order a halt to the practice. And happy birthday to Louise Brown. The world's first test tube baby was born in a British hospital 40 years ago Wednesday. Her arrival was described as a medical miracle. Since then, it's estimated more than 6 million IVF babies have followed. And Louise herself is a mother of 2 boys conceived naturally. Adventuresome travelers have long been attracted to the French islands of Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, just off Newfoundland and Labrador. But until this summer, ferries heading to and from the territory could only carry walk-on passengers. That was all set to change until the road to France hit a dead end in Newfoundland. Chris O'Neill-Yates explains.
Gisèle Laverne-Brent and her husband John are visiting from Saskatchewan, taking the ferry from the French territory Saint-Pierre-Miquelon back to Fortune, Newfoundland, where they had to leave their car.
The car would have been nice.
I think it would have added to the trip to see the area, see more of the island than what we did. I think it would definitely have added a nice touch.
Two new $25 million ferries built by the French government were supposed to transport cars, containers, and recreational vehicles. But they've been sailing with empty car decks since they were launched almost 2 months ago. The problem is that the dock upgrade needed for cars to drive on and off the ferry on the Newfoundland side hasn't even been built yet, because the Port Authority in Fortune can't come up with the money. That's a big problem, says Stéphane Lenormand, president of the territorial government of Saint-Pierre-Miquelon. As of 2015, when we began building these ferries, we approached the Port Authority in Fortune to prepare for their arrival. But unfortunately, in October of 2017, the project stalled because of a lack of financing. Saint-Pierre-Miquelon and Fortune are connected by 200 years of history, separated by 40 kilometers of ocean. These new ferries were built to replace the old one that could only carry walk-on passengers. For the first time in history, people were to be able to take their cars. A big boon to tourism and to commerce between Newfoundland and its French neighbor. Fortune Mayor Charles Penwell says there have been plenty of discussions, but no solutions.
It's been ongoing too long. The ferry is running. Work needs to be started. If we started work tomorrow, it would still be, next season really before we can handle traffic.
Boutique owner Cathy Simone welcomes the two new ferries and the business she hopes they'll eventually bring. For Canadians, she says, it would be interesting to come with their cars because even though the islands look small on the map, there is a lot to see. For now, all that is on hold, but Lenormand doesn't put the blame on the Port Authority. It's a volunteer organization handling a large economic development file, he says. That's part of the problem. The file is very complex, and this is a big sum of money for them. So as the tourist season kicks into high gear, these ferries come and go every day without the cars they were built to carry, with no help from Ottawa or the province in sight. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, Saint-Pierre-Miquelon.
You may soon have a healthy but unusual snack option. Two young American entrepreneurs are trying to turn an invasive plague into a tasty environmental solution. But because of a U.S. trade dispute, their hopes may depend on Canadian appetites. Kim Brunhuber has a story from Berkeley, California.
Mind if I try a little there?
No, please. Please do.
This jerky is, to the uninitiated, an acquired taste. Think a piece of leather that's been left to soak in a bait bucket. Are you guys happy with the flavor?
Yeah, well, we're gonna refine the recipe, I think, a little bit more.
The recipe for their El Diablito jerky, say 30-year-old Mike Mitchell and 29-year-old Sam Bordia, is a work in progress, but the fishy taste is intentional. These chewy brown strips began life in a Mexican river as one of these, Hypostomus plecostomus, or suckermouth catfish. But Mexican fishermen have given the lizard-like fish another name.
The pez diablo, the devilfish. I had no idea what it was at the time.
If you own an aquarium, you may know it as a type of pleco, which you can buy to keep your aquarium clean because it eats algae, and it's very, very good at it.
It arrived in Mexico probably about 15 years ago, and it's taken over the waterways. And today it accounts for about 70 up to potentially 80% of the wild fish capture in a lot of these regions. It's highly aggressive and it reproduces like crazy. So it's really like an evolutionary miracle.
This miracle isn't much to look at, all spines and scales, and it turns a cadaverous gray when you cook it. Few outside of its native Brazil are willing to eat it. In fact, many even wrongly believe it's poisonous, so it's usually considered a trash fish.
A lot of the properties that make it a hard fish to cook, as you would, say, a normal white fleshed fish, actually lend itself very well to making jerky.
So the two master students started a company called Acari Fish and built a small processing plant in Mexico. Soon, local fishermen, instead of throwing out the hard-shelled, bottom-feeding pez diablo they caught by accident, would catch them on purpose and sell them to Acari.
We've seen a huge boost in incomes. On average, they're earning 25% more than they were previously.
Now they're hoping to scale up the fish jerky operation by using an American production facility.
How do you go about marketing creatures we don't really eat?
Yeah, it's a good question. This is a great opportunity where, like, by eating our fish, it's not only that you're not harming the environment, you're helping the environment. So we see a really positive story that we can tell.
Next up, there are fish balls and burgers in the works. They were hoping to have their first bags of jerky in U.S. stores by mid-August, but Bordia says there's a catch.
We just somehow found ourselves in the middle of this trade dispute between Vietnam and Mississippi.
A law protecting American catfish farmers from cheaper Asian imports means there's effectively a ban on foreign catfish, including theirs. So Mitchell and Bordia are now thinking of launching El Diablito in Canada.
Just this last week, we've started looking into what we need to do to comply with Canadian regulations, and then we can start shipping it around Canada, which is a really exciting opportunity for us.
So, will this actually work?
This idea of trash fish, I'm not fond of that name. Nobody wants to eat a trash fish. But the general concept and idea of eating these underutilized species is a good one. And we need to be more open to trying new things if we want to support a healthy food system. And the lionfish...
Kim Thompson, who manages the Seafood for the Future program at the Aquarium of the Pacific, says there is a precedent for rebranding trash fish. For years, Thompson says, sustainability-minded companies have been trying to sell Americans on the invasive lionfish, with mixed success.
So in terms of the broader market and having an international export market, it's a little bit tougher to say at this point whether or not that would be economically viable or make sense.
And Thompson says there's no hope of getting rid of an invasive species just by gobbling it up.
The problem with a species like lionfish or a species like the devilfish is that they're pretty prolific. So realistically, you're not going to eradicate them, but can you keep them under control? And there's a lot of research that suggests that perhaps you can with the right tools and management.
Now, days after graduation, the two head towards a bank near the Berkeley campus. So this is your first check?
This is our first check. We are very excited to deposit this.
A $2,500 check from a social venture competition in Milan. They say it's just the beginning, if they can create enough appetite in Canada for the strips of fish inside, or at the very least, the origin story printed on the bag. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Berkeley, California.
Next on The National, an 80-year-old from Newfoundland and Labrador smashes the record in a grueling 10-mile road race. Her story is our moment of the day.
You know, quite a few people had to drop out as well, you know, but at least I made it and finished, and that was what I wanted to do.
And a reminder, you can get the real story from CBC News journalists all day long. Find powerful images on Instagram, exclusive video on Facebook, and you can tweet us anytime at CBC The National.
At Vancouver International Airport, the Christmas rush is well underway. Crowds of people gathering to catch flights, and many of them trying to get past security with items they shouldn't have. The Canadian Air Transport Security Authority's Mathieu Larocque says a huge pile of goods was seized just in the last 6 days.
There's a replica gun that looks very much like a real gun. There's big knives, big scissor tools that are very heavy that would not normally go in a carry-on bag.
There's also brass knuckles, daggers, and a small mountain of cigarette lighters. Even the bottoms of blenders are disallowed because they have blades. Airport officials say they understand some people may have packed in a rush, but they warn trying to bring restricted items in hand luggage will slow down the entire process. If you're wondering what happens to those thousands and thousands of items that are seized every year, well, they're taken here, the Vancouver Airport Thrift Store. Unclaimed items end up on the shelves, raising money for a number of charities. For those looking for bargains, there's no shortage of low-priced scissors and pocket knives. But for travelers who want to keep the ones they have, the airport says pack them, don't carry them.
If they absolutely have to bring tools, scissors, knives at their destination, then check bag is the way to go.
The airport also recommends not wrapping any gift that will be carried on board. It's even offering a gift wrapping service to encourage people to wrap them after they go through screening. And the airport authorities' Reg Craig says be prepared for big crowds.
This is one of our busiest times of the year. We expect up to 60,000 passengers a day, even more than 60,000 on our very peak days.
He expects this will be the busiest December in their history, with more than 1.6 million people passing through the airport this month. Tim Week, CBC News, Richmond.
Plan ahead starts right from home. Thinking about what you're packing, checking in online, check the status of your flight online, even book your parking in advance, and check the weather, both in Vancouver and where you're heading to. Leave about an hour extra time just to accommodate for holiday travel, people on the roads, and getting to the airport parking and getting through security, all those good things.
We have to make sure it fits with the handle up. No.
We're on TV there. Come on. There you go.
Can we just, yeah, auf die Seite, genau.
Most time, passengers just forget. Sometimes they rush to do their baggage, and some things go in check bags, some things go in carry-on bags. So there's lots of stress involved with travel, especially at this time of year. So again, we just want to remind passengers to double check. Most of these items are permitted in check bags, but not in carry-on bags. So if they absolutely have to bring tools, scissors, knives at their destination, then check bag is the way to go.
The Great Canadian Baking Show returns Wednesday, September 19th on CBC.
Florence Barron crossed the finish line of the Telly 10 full of smiles today. Despite the humid Newfoundland weather, she ran the 10-mile race in just 96 minutes. So that sets a new record in the over 80 age category. The previous mark was 2 hours and 23 minutes. Did you do the math? She beat it by more than 45 minutes, and her record-breaking run is our moment of the day.
That was my aim to break that record. I knew I could easily do it. I did it close to 50 minutes faster than the last record for an 80-year-old. So that I was really happy about that. I started when I was 59, so this is the 21st time of running this 10-mile race. And people keep saying I inspire them, and I just love it. I enjoy it, and I want to prove to people that you can be this age and you can be fit. So I say if I can motivate them, that's perfect. That's what I want to do.
So our producer Sarah was speaking to her, and I believe she said that she was the only over 80 in the category this time around. But on the other hand, she's 80 years old, and she's running a 10-mile race, and she's setting records, and she's looking forward to being there next year. And there are a couple of ways to look at it. You know, it's inspiring, I guess, and she hopes it is in fact inspiring for people that they should be, could be fit well into their 80s. On the other hand, it means I have a few more years before I have to start running. And this is the National for July 22nd. Good night.